Hopes for a second Israeli hostage-Palestinian prisoner swap rise and fall as mediators try to cement a deal. Ukraine suffers its largest drone attack of the war. Over 70 fired at Kiev, wounding at least 5 civilians. Ukrainians remember the millions who died of starvation in 1932 and 33 under the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. People march in cities across the world to mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. As Israelis mark the 50th day of the hostage crisis, they were hopeful that Hamas would, as promised, release a second group from captivity. Then, just before midnight on Saturday, Hamas said it had handed over 13 Israelis and 7 foreigners to the International Red Cross. Hours earlier, it had delayed the hostage prisoner swap. A Hamas official in Beirut had explained why.
We believe that the Israelis are manipulating the issue. We will stand against that, and we are still waiting the response of the mediators.
Soon after, the mediators spoke. A Qatari government spokesman said the deal was back on track and that within hours 39 Palestinian women and children will be released in exchange for 13 Israeli hostages from Gaza. The pause in the fighting has allowed hundreds of trucks carrying essential supplies into southern Gaza from Israel, bringing some relief to Palestinians after weeks of relentless bombing. After 4 days, the agreement is set up to be renewed on a daily basis, with further hostage and prisoner exchanges. Ukraine's military says Russia has launched its largest drone attack of the war. Russia launched 75 Iranian-made Shahed drones against Ukraine, of which 74 were shot down by air defences, the Air Force said. Kiev was the main target, but the Sumy, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, Mykolaiv and Kirovohrad regions were also targeted. At least 5 civilians were wounded. Several buildings were damaged by falling debris from the downed drones, including a kindergarten. The assault on Kiev caused power outages in 77 residential buildings. Ukraine's energy ministry said 17,000 people were without power in the Kiev region as a result of the attack. As winter approaches, Kiev is preparing for a new campaign of massive Russian bombardment targeting its energy infrastructure. Ukrainians fear a winter similar to last, when millions of people were left without power when the weather was at its coldest. On Saturday, Ukrainians remembered the millions of people who died of starvation in 1932 and 33 under the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. Known as the Holodomor, not only was it a preventable famine, it was one that was deliberately planned by Stalin.
День пам'яті жертв голодоморів. Коли ми відчуваємо великий біль і гнів водночас. Від неможливості забути, зрозуміти і тим паче пробачити жахливі злочини геноциду, який пережив український народ у 20 столітті.
Russia didn't mark the day, but it did launch its largest drone attack since the start of the invasion, according to Ukraine's military. Starting in the early morning, and for more than 6 hours, Russia launched 75 Iranian-made Shahed drones at Kiev. People across the world have marked the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. In France, thousands took to the streets of Paris and other big cities. The Council of Europe estimates 12 to 15% of women in Europe face violence in the home every day. Spain has strengthened some of its laws to better protect women, but campaigners say new kinds of violence are emerging with sophisticated technologies such as artificial intelligence.
Lo importante es que se escuche alto y fuerte la voz de las mujeres y la voz de todas las personas feministas contra la violencia, contra todos los tipos de violencias hacia las mujeres.
In Rome, the day was given more significance following the recent killing of a 22-year-old student, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, that shocked Italians. There were also rallies in the US, Latin America and Asia.